Hey everyone, Aaron here, and this is another anime review. And today's gonna be the 83rd review, and today's review is gonna be of 11 Eyes. Now, I know a lot of you, if you've seen my top 10 most boring anime, you're gonna be like, wait, you're gonna review this? I'm like, of course I'm gonna review it. I haven't reviewed it on the channel yet, and also I talked about being a boring anime. I gotta give a reason why I said that, right? But more so, 11 Eyes is not. I want to start this off by saying 11 Eyes is not a bad series by any means. I plan on actually buying the series eventually because it has some good things working for it. But is it a good show? That's questionable. You know, 11 Eyes, why I put it on boring list was because there are a lot of times where I just think things could have been done to escalate the action that the show is presenting itself as. And what I mean by that is think about this. A show that is an action show, because this 11 Eyes is essentially an action show with tragedy concepts and all that, but it's a show about action. And there's a lot of times where if you're going to label your show and you're going to have it as an action show, you do need moments of non-stop action. You need those moments that happen for longer than like short bursts and then just nothing happens. And that's why I called it boring, because it's the same concept of Inuyasha in a lot of ways. Inuyasha is a romance slash action show too, and there's a lot of times when nothing's happening. It's filler episodes or things that are just boring. That's why I have to label them as boring to me, because they are boring. Now, don't get me wrong though. That doesn't mean that 11 Eyes has nothing working for it. Let's talk about the main concepts of it. So our main character Satsuki, who's kind of a tragic character, he was a young man who lost his sister way back when, and he kind of became a very enclosed person. He has a childhood friend named Yuka who's always by his side, but for the most part, he doesn't know how to handle people. He feels like his life's meaningless now without his sister in it. And he ends up covering his eye because he has heterochromia, which I don't know if you guys know, is when one iris is different color than the other one. So if one was blue, the other one might be green or something like that, or brown, the other one might be, red, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's the concept of heterochromia. And, some people are kind of weirded out by that. Some people don't like having that, so he covers his eye up. But he also has a strange power which he doesn't know he really fully has yet. Until one day when Yuka and him are walking at night, they end up seeing a moon, and the moon is red, blood red. And what happens next is that they end up finding out that they're transported to another version of their world. In this world, things are happening. There are people that are hunting Satsuki down, and they want to kill him because he has this eye, which apparently is very powerful. Now, he ends up meeting four other people in the world. There's a girl that has a sword. There's another girl who, when you take her glasses off, she becomes a psycho killer. I forgot their names off the top of my head because I did watch the show a while back. And there's one girl that's a mute character who looks exactly like his sister, which is really creepy. But 11 Eyes is, I'll tell you, at best, what it's doing this action sequence is when the Red Moon's active and they're in this other world, they're fighting. Satsuki is actually using his eye to use in combat because he can actually have precog. He can actually see what's going to happen, and so he actually goes, "Oh, this is going to happen. This is about to happen. You guys need to move this way or move that way. Avoid this." It really cool. It makes almost like a JRPG type esque battle system, almost in a way, where he's telling people what to do and they're following him. It works in that sense. 11 Eyes has some spectacular combat. It really does. And the animations work really well for it because the show in general looks really cool. I think the animation looks very nice and neat and pristine. But the biggest issue again though is that when the show deviates from the action and it goes more so to talking understanding what's going on in the Red Moon world, essentially that's what we're gonna call it for now. That's where the show starts faltering a little bit because it slows down to the point that it's not needed. And even more so when they have these times of more like comedy and kind of romance elements in it, which I understand it fully. I think it kind of counterbalances the show's action sequences, where the show I think really is thriving off action. And I hate saying that because it almost sounds like I don't like action. I love action shows. I'm just saying that if a show has a moniker of action and it tries to portray itself in that manner, it has to stay with that. It can't keep switching between genres because this show does that. It switches between romance, it switches between slice of life here and there. It's like playing a JRPG but watching instead. And here's the problem with that: watching JRPGs is boring after a point. You might love Persona. I love Persona. I'm a huge diehard fan of Persona. I eat sleep Persona. But I will say this: that imagine watching Persona 4 the animation and them just taking bits of the game itself. You would have like hours of nothing happening except for talking to people. And then you have action, and then you have all these boss battles, and that's what this show does. It almost feels like it's a JRPG in the sense that it goes around that same kind of way where it slows down, speeds up, slows down, speeds up, slows down. That's a problem. It's a short episode series. It's only 12 episodes with an OVA that's a kind of comedy OVA, but you do not need slowdown in 12 episodes, I think. You know, if you have 1 or 2 episodes of slowdown, understandable, because you need to explain the stories, you need to explain the concepts, the characters. But to have a show that slows down so often, like every other episode slowing down to explain something, except for the last like 4 episodes, which are really cool, it's weird. It's very odd and it's strange to me a little bit. Now, also what I don't like about 11 Eyes is the ending. I have an issue with the ending. You know, I don't mind anime endings when they're left with like this concept of what if there's going to be another season. I don't mind that. But 11 Eyes is not a new series. It's a 5-year-old series that has no sequel planned, that has no announcement of a sequel ever being made or an OVA to explain anything at the end. And while it does have an ending per se, I want to say that the show does end on a note essentially. It also ends with another note where he looks up and he sees something that's a little bit foreshadowing to another season. That to me means that what you did in all the last episodes is for naught. You actually are then now back into the same category, the same venture of, yeah, it's going to happen again, the same things that happened before. And that's a problem. That is a problem to me. I don't like endings that do that, because if you're really not going to do it, because I know 11 Eyes wasn't popular, that's a shame because the show's not bad, like I said. But if you're going to do that, then don't end on that way. It's just a weird ending. It's kind of mean in a way. I'll say that right now in a nice way. I'll say it's mean. It's mean to your audience because, hey, I want to see a conclusive ending for a show, or at least something that feels like a conclusive ending. Instead, you're going, well, it's possible there's going to be a second season when there's no second season. Don't do that. It's not necessary. Anyways, though, 11 Eyes has some decent voice acting. You know, there's some very popular Japanese voice actors that do these characters, and they do a really good job. I actually really particularly like the main character. I like all the characters on a whole. I don't think there's a single one that annoys me to any end. The graphics, again, are very nice for a 5-year-old show. This is still very pristine graphics. It looks very nice. The action sequences are awesome. The soundtrack's hit or miss times. I think it's forgettable because I've mostly forgot how the opening sounded and the closing sounded. And when that happens, I'm most likely, it means to me at least, it wasn't that great. But overall, if I had to give the show A through F, I give it a B-. Now, again, I put it on my top 10 boring list. You know, you're like, whoa, wait, why? You give it a B-, but you have it on your top 10 boring. Boring does not mean a bad show. There's a lot of Western shows that you can watch that are boring, like Walking Dead, for example. I like The Walking Dead, personally, but I also hate it because it does have a lot of boring episodes. It has a lot of those episodes that go, oh my god, just do something already. It's not a bad show. Like, you would rate that a very high rating, or you'd rate it at a medium rating, because it's still a good show. That's the point of it. And that's how 11 Eyes to me feels like. It's a good show. It has a lot of potential to be amazing, but it falls a lot of flat notes here and there. Anyways, guys, that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out a lot, guys, please. Also, again, I'm not doing a vlog this week. I'm sorry. I'm just way too busy with upcoming stuff I have to deal with, like exams. And I have an interview coming up next week, which I said already, but it's just another reminder. I'll probably remind you guys again, maybe like the last video I do for, I guess it would be like 4 more videos, and I'll remind you guys. But for now, guys, until our paths cross again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye.